I love the word selection that you just described, NIP, because we were hyping them up. It was quite the roller coaster. They were just confirmed for that 10th position in the playoffs, but they just received the fattest L in the early game handed over by FPX, and they're halfway to securing that revenge plan that they've been looking out for in the summer.
Yeah, it's actually incredible, right? NIP eliminated FPX from the summer playoff running with that pentakill of teams they did with the 2-0 the other night. But now we're getting to game number 2. We see a lot of similar things on the map here, except for a bit of a swap of sides. Now let's break apart some of these team comps, and I already love to see Photic go back to the Aphelios.
Classic champion for Photic, looking for those major team fights when it does come to those item spikes for the affiliates. But of course, Angel this time around does secure himself the Nico on the blue side as well, working alongside Shadow. So they have so much great AoE setup when it does come to these team fights. And a personal favorite of mine when it comes to the support meta right now is I feel like Rakan is an extremely underrated champion by the mid to bottom tier teams, where they don't really enjoy picking up this champion, although I feel like it offers the most potential when it comes to both disengaging and engaging for your team. So I'm really excited to see how NIP is going to utilize this, because it is the Wukong up against Hacker, who is the Sejuani this time around. So not as much of a link up towards the mid lane, where Care really was that shining star for the game 1.
And I also, going back to the point about the Rakan, I just love the pick for Zhuo. Like, I think this guy on something that can have those very aggressive moments, but also has a lot of peel back in team fights, is huge for him. And I want to see him thrive on this. I want to see him actually get out onto the map early, start connecting with Shadow, have some of those big roams as well. I think that can set the tempo for NIP, which is something they always typically try to go for. But FPX trying to set the tempo bot lane with the 2v2. We will get both summer spells burned by Photic.
2 games in a row. I mean, level 1 flash is being burnt by the blue side 80 carries, but this time around, QuiQiu has the Hex Flash, so he's just gonna call down his jungler after he full clears, maybe even skips out on the Krug camp and just go, not the Krug, the Grump camp, and just kills Photic because they have so much follow-up CC this time around. I'm already getting a bit scared.
Oh, no, he has nothing to get out of this. The lockdown is super huge. Don't have enough damage just yet. FPX not able to get it, but they could have. LWX could have flashed there, could have gotten a little bit dicey, but they're just messing with them. They're going to get a little bit of a push here and a forced back to Photic.
But that's 2 waves getting crashed under this tower. And for the Aphelios, I mean, this is definitely not the start that you want to be kind of bouncing off of from that game 1 performance. But you already have Hacker pathing towards his bottom side. And, I mean, Photic had to kind of just walk of shame with the refillable part as well. Shadow's in top lane, though.
Yeah, I think Xioalaohu did not predict this outcome here. So Invincible goes back to try to catch the wave that's under turret. You do get the double flash in Shadow with the Conqueror proc. One more long stick should be able to get Xioalaohu down. Although he's healing a lot. Shadow's just waiting for these cooldowns to come through. The counter strike. Oh my god, he doesn't get him. Oh, that's frustrating.
How does he get out? That's absolutely
insanity.
Illegal activity from Xioalaohu. He just walked an entire circle and pretty much escaped death. I don't know how Shadow wasn't able to secure that kill onto this Jax. Maybe Invincible could have committed extra for that flash to follow up onto this Jax, but I feel like Invincible should never be getting out of that situation.
Sorry, Kitty. I was just trying to call the LPL police. I was just trying to report a crime in top lane. They have me on hold right now. Hopefully they'll get back to me, but definitely need to investigate this one because that feels so bad.
Oh, not again,
Hacker does go bot lane. No, there's nothing you can do. Turn away and don't look. Oh, they don't get Zhuo. Jojo almost goes down, but Photic will fall.
QuiQiu on this Nautilus, an absolute beast performance so far, and another 2 waves gets crashed under this NIP bottom lane tower as LWS also picking up that tower plate. I mean, Shadow, you can gank for Invincible all you want because this I feel is going to be so incredibly behind. But if you look at NIP's composition for this game too, you need to be the ones playing for this Aphelios. You need to set Photic up for success, but QuiQiu just utilizing this flash and hex flash time it perfectly, and then CC after CC. He could have just gone for the order and then followed up with the Q, but already getting that glacial down. another solo kill
Carrot
from
gets
Angel,
solo
getting
killed
revenge.
by Angel there. So a little bit of revenge from last game. Doesn't get chased down either. Shadow's here to respond. So there is an answer. Shots fired back by NIP in mid lane.
You have the TP available for both mid laners though, so Angel can just pick up this wave and then TP back and reset for that tempo. But once again, I mean, unless Angel can have a stand-up performance on this Nico with that Proto Belt and really make up for that DPS, as Photic has to wait for those 3 item spike, it is going to be all about Angel for game 2 in the mid game. But I want to highlight QuiQiu. He's having a fantastic night so far, getting consistent engages in these games and just making Photic's life a living hell.
This Nautilus pick is coming up so clutch. And it's just really nice to see from Chocho in this game especially, but also the pairing with LWX. You see what was going on in mid lane. Unfortunately, the minion doing work there against Angel. I don't think that would have saved Care anyways. And that does give a lot of credence to NIP's composition, I will say. The strongest connection has always been Shadow and Angel.
Not that one, buddy.
Yeah, he's fishing,
minion.
okay? He's fishing. You ever gone fishing? All right, it's about how many times you throw it in there, not just everyone being a quality throw.
He really thought he could minion demat the minion out of existence and go for a sneaky hook.
I wasn't going to add
Photic.
the extra mechanical stuff that he tried to add there, but you know, I'm going to see the mechanics from NIP and bot side though as TP's coming in. LWX, he's turning onto Photic here. He hasn't gone down yet, but they get 2 back. As FPX should be able to chase down Shadow here. Chocho will flash as he does have a decent amount of damage back from Shadow, but Care with the Tippers combo. There's just too many bodies for NIP to deal with.
What a disastrous dive for NIP, and they were the ones going for that initial skirmish, but Care coming in clutch with the TP response as well. I mean, I could have never imagined LWX trades 2 for 1 under this tower, because we do have the hook landing onto Photic once again as LWX just puts all of his focus onto this AD carry, but with the Ignite ticking onto Photic, I thought LWX was just going to trade 1 for 1, but he gets Zhuo on the side as well. I mean, this is just great team fighting from FPX, and LWX playing with so much confidence.
And that is a level maker for FPX when he is on fire. And you see the team coming around that bot lane. That is what you need to see for FPX now that we've gotten this decent lead for them. We saw them able to close out a pretty strong game number 1. Now they have a 2K lead 7.5 minutes in game 2. But that is the conversation now you have to have for NIP, where yes, they locked in playoffs. Yes, that's all fine and dandy. But that doesn't mean you don't want to take these wins, right, Kitty? I think every win matters still for NIP. And this is not a series where it's just, oh, easy, we lost to FPX, right? This is a series they want to have.
1 extra win just means an extra day to prep for your upcoming playoff series. But with this wave slow pushing towards the side of FPX and Photic, he does have the flash available, but QuiQiu honestly can just trade it once again. And they have to be so careful.
He's not going to go for it. He's like, if it's Zhuo, I don't want it.
Oh, we do have a pink ward. That did spot out Hacker, so whoever placed that pink ward, huge MVP credits to you. I believe it was either Angel or Shadow, as they did look for that dive from a previous skirmish, but that does mean Shadow has this angle to start up the Rift Herald without being contested. So they are going to trade first Dragon forward first Rift Herald, so I'm expecting this Rift Herald to go towards the mid lane and really put that gold into Angel's pockets and start getting that Proto Belt online ASAP.
You see if this trade of objectives is going to lead out anything bot lane. FPX have been holistically focusing for LWX, but while we have a trade of the mid lane here, Tippers does come out. That Rift Herald will actually end up in a decent chunk of gold back in NIP. And you do wonder if they just want to go to Angel. Just keep getting this Nico ahead for the potential team fight setup.
We have a complete split of the map right now. You see Shadow going for the Raptor. Photic! Oh no!
I didn't know we were handing out lollipops in the LPL as Chocho gives one right to the face of Photic.
NIP, don't click tab. Don't look bottom lane. Your ADC is really struggling to survive. Just live, lol, says Shadow. But I don't know how you really outplay this. QuiQiu he's Hacker Man.
I just like... You feel like things are already going worse. You're like, they can't get worse. And then you just get done like that. Where it's like, the chain auto reconnects to you, even though it's like completely off of your model. We're gonna get a nice little slow-mo of that one, I'm sure.
Yeah, look, I mean,
What?
Photic is getting done so dirty with that Nautilus hook connecting, and Hacker over the wall throws out the Glacial Prism and just shuts down Photic once again 3 times this game, while
that
Shadow
one of
is
those?
struggling.
Is that one of those like those stereotypical like giant lollipops you see the little kids with like the rainbow circle going all the way around the outside?
Yeah,
Have you
look,
ever- you know what I'm
Tojo's
talking
probably
about?
having the best time of his life on this Nautilus so far. There's all rainbows and lollipops for him, but Photic is just troll despair right now. I feel he should not
The
be
duality.
consistently dying. Yeah, there's 2 types of League players.
It's that bus meme, but it's just JoJo on the bright side and or Photic on the dark side. We
Pretty
got
much.
Invincible though, taking a pretty heavy chunk of health in the top lane against Xioalaohu. Shadow will be spotted out on this ward. Get the quick back from the Rift Herald. Even though Xioalaohu is looking a little bit spicy, Shadow's got to know he's on a
He's
ward
just
at this point.
baiting. Hacker is right behind.
They're
Xioalaohu,
baiting.
and
Are
Kara's
you
already
getting
first
baited or are you
move.
the bait? Who's the hunter and who's the prey? Right now, the prey is Xioalaohu, but he gets out the counter strike. And Care has arrived. Tipper's down, and Shadow, he will get the flash out, but Hacker wants him. One auto attack
1
can do it,
HP.
but he can't get him. Hacker getting low, getting down. Slice and dice goes to the ground, though, as Invincible is gone, and FPX turned it on its head. The Glacial Prison is not enough, but he gets it back. Shadow just tries to get something. A triple kill for Care, who's stepping up for a 2nd game in a row, while we got the bot lane stepping up. Photic has to flash. That would have been connected, and that would have been another death.
I mean, LWX already has the Kraken Slayer available. Can Zhuo look for a return CC onto this AD carry? Not the case, but I mean, if Hacker landed that final Glacial Prism onto Shadow, that would have been the sickest Sejuani play out of all time.
Angel, they don't know. They don't know. Now they know. Pop Blossom, that's a flash, that's big. They're trying to connect on LWX, but he's got the Feather Storm as well as the Blade Collar, and he's putting in the feathers! He's putting in the work too! He lost Chocho, but he's not done yet. He's got a TP coming in for Care, who's got the stun queued up, ready to go, and the feathers sink deep as Care gets himself the 6th kill!
It's just getting from bad to worse for the side of NIP. They are getting so mumbled up in this mess, which is getting created by FPX, and they're accelerating the game tempo so much. Photic 1-4 in the affiliates in this early game, and they're just shutting down this carry of NIP so well, while you see FPX utilizing this knowledge of having Shadow in that bush from a prior ward placed down by Xioalaohu, coming in with the first move. Angel did have a follow-up, but this Sejuani not dying is just so insane. They didn't have the damage. Angel just didn't have the cooldowns coming back up. I mean, Shadow also living on 1 HP while only getting return kills so barely onto Hacker as well. This is just great.
Oh, Shadow looking to catch out Xioalaohu top side with the rest of NIP, as they
The
should be able to
Georgia.
lock this one down with the Rift Herald up here too. Hacker will not be able to save the day here unless they can. Oh my goodness! Shadow will take his 3rd death, and FPX are just turning nothing into something every time.
All right, I think it's time to finally shine some light on the jungler of FPX. This has been such an amazing few series to witness from this player, because I feel like Hacker has really been proved since spring, and it's definitely showing in summer, especially when you do give him champions like the Sejuani, the Nocturne, and the Kha'Zix, where he can look for these skirmishes, and even if you give him a carry champion, he's more than happy to kind of play that carry role, while Care, with this flexible champion pool being introduced into the 2nd half of the year, FPX, the development is definitely there.
Yeah, and I love the story of Hacker, right? This guy has seemingly been everywhere, right? But his
Pretty
time on
much.
Ultra Prime was pretty disappointing. It felt like a lot of the time he was the reason why the team wasn't finding success, because he would play very aggressive, as we know he does typically, but he wouldn't be followed up by his team. I think in these little moments, in these microcosms of this game at the end of the season of the summer split for FPX where they're already eliminated, it's nice to see some of this really coming out and some of that nature come through for these guys, because Hacker has consistently been a very, very aggressive, carry-oriented jungler, and I appreciate the skirmish-heavy style of the Sejuani for him.
Yeah, and you can't really talk about Hacker without also having Care in the whole equation, because I feel like Care has always just been there for every single skirmish, the proactive mid laner that Hacker ever so needed coming into 2023, and you already see the scoreline 6-1 in this game too, We saw this Nico pick going over to this guy in the game one, did wonders on it, but he's repeating that with the other side of the matchup.
It's feeling really good right now in this series for Care. He's been stepping up huge, and I kind of want to check back in. I know it was kind of a meme, but you know, on a scale 1 to 10, Kitty, how salty were they that NIP knocked them out of playoffs contention? Because at this point, they are angry and they're showing it. This Care's going to make it out of this one.
All right, well, this 2-0 is definitely going to prove how much FPX is out for revenge up against NIP, who were the team that eliminated FunPlus out of the summer regular split. And with the scoreline being 12-5 for them, all the mythics are online, and now they're just going to start looking and taking over the map, while NIP, they look so lost.
And there's just not much they can find on the map, right? You're getting item completions coming out for FPX, and while the same can be said for NIP, it is now another Rift Herald that NIP are actually looking to contest. Chocho was on a ward, and this is just a two-person man setup for FPX. They're bringing LWX, but Chocho's already down. LWX is the one you got to worry about, though, as Care's coming in for a big setup as well. LWX set up on the side, but it is FPX needing to run away. As Photic trying to connect with these chakrams here. Will have the Calibrum now for a little bit of distance. Can't connect onto Care.
Fool me once.
Hacker.
Shame on you, but Hacker's going back in.
All right, a little bit of 50-50 action there. Does get the Pop Blossom out and the TP from Invincible, but that'll be the Rift Herald secured, and it goes to Photic. So he'll be using that soon.
Bit of a fumble. We didn't have the carries of FPX at that Rift Herald, and NIP kind of scrambled their way back into this game with the Rift Herald getting picked up by Photic. And also getting the flash out of Care, that is absolutely huge, denying a lot of the engage potential from the mid laner of FPX, as Felix is doing Felix things onto the Xia of this game. But I feel like NIP, they need to look for these individual picks, which Chucho is providing that angle over. Angle?
Angle or Devil. Xioalaohu, though, he's looking like a little bit of a devil right now as he does get locked up. Okay. The angle does come alive, and Shadow gets the kill back.
You know, that reminds me of something. The Chinese community calls Angel Angela, and I have no reason, no idea why,
Angela?
but if someone can fill me in on this lore, I would be more than happy to learn the context behind Angela, because that's such a cute name.
Angela. Trying to think why that would be. Like, what in what world, like, what kind of explanation there is for that. But hopefully we'll get added. We'll be able to
Angela,
check
you
that one
gotta look
though.
out, buddy.
Angela, be careful.
That's the wrong way, Angela.
Oh no, Angela doesn't know where he's going. A little bit. What is he gonna do? He's gonna turn into a bush? He's gonna turn into a minion? What's he gonna do? Oh, he's not getting out of this one. This is a solo kill for Hacker.
Pretty much,
moment.
Hacker smacked Angela out of existence while Invincible does look for the trade tower. He did buy a lot of time. I believe there were 4 people surrounding this Nico towards the bottom side, as we have NIP's remaining players getting vision control towards his top side. I'm not too sure if they can rush something like the Baron around that 20-minute mark, since Felix is still relatively low damage, but, you know, just a little bit of a goofy catch out.
We teleported. As we do have another minute till the Dragon does spawn, we have a push in from LWX actually, try to get some damage on a tier 2 here. Just taking advantage of some of the positioning around the map, gets half health done before Invincible makes it to the wave. There should be just presence from FPX on the bottom side of the map until the Dragon spawns. They already have vision set up around there. We get a blue buff spawned up for Care as well. And NIP will be trying to push out of the mid lane here, Kitty.
The game has mellowed out so much, but there's a reason why that is, because FPX, they are just waiting for this flash to come off cooldown for Care, where he's going to be able to get his hands onto Photic and Angel. He does have the Merc Treads, but no stopwatch, so it is still going to do quite a lot of damage, considering the fact that he did pick up the Shadow Flame and the Haunting guys for those items. So with the Dragon spawning in 10 seconds, Xioalaohu can realistically just go for the tier 2 tower. FPX don't need to fight this.
Chocho goes for it. FPX pounce. Zhuo's down. Now you got the depth start on Photic, but they can't get around the angle. And now it is just one down. That's an unmanned fight if FPX want to take it. But Xioalaohu is fine taking a side lane tier 2 here, while it's actually NIP that were forced off the positioning.
FPX just get everything on the map, while Xioalaohu is completely uncontested in this top side. That tier 2 tower down, and the map gets so ever more dark for the side of NIP, and even FPX starts up the third dragon for themselves.
I'm still on hold here with the LPL police. I don't understand how they're getting away with this, but it's like I'm watching a theft in real life right now. As Invincible is getting taken out again. Oh my god, somebody call Homeland Security. I don't know. Somebody's got to save NIP here as the Rift Herald just gets burned down in the mid lane. It's NIP trying to go back on the Chocho, but Photic stepping up with a bit of Infernum action here. Can't get much, and NIP just keep getting taken to task.
FPX just picked up 1 tower, 1 dragon, 2 individual picks from Chocho's hooks landing onto the enemy team, and they somehow get away with everything. NIP is kind of just getting stumbled over by this FPX roster. And honestly, I'm kind of disappointed that NIP, they had the numbers advantage, but they didn't utilize this when it was a 4v5 situation for that third dragon.
It's just feeling they can't find the answers they're desperately attempting to find every time they go to this. And I do want to reiterate, right, so that we continue to talk about, like, yes, NIP secured a playoff spot with the last series, but this is still wins that they want to have. This isn't like, oh yeah, it's fine. You know, they took a couple L's. I don't think you want to be in 10th place. I'm just saying, you don't want to go against our first place in the LPL. They will just stomp you out of or be in the first round of the LPL playoffs, right? You can just get stomped out, and there's no Guardian Angel. So I think while I don't think that NIP will be able to make it to Guardian Angel status, any win helps delay the inevitable. And FPX are making sure they are not going to find that.
Yeah, just avoiding specific teams by securing that 9th position could mean so much, but Chocho being the solemn person of denying that from happening away from NIP by landing so many hooks onto the enemy team. I mean, this Nautilus, clear MVP if FPX takes this 2-0.
Oh, NIP want a little bit of fight action here, though, as the Featherstorm's been used, waiting for that Blade Collar as it does come through. Pop Blossom from Angel. That's pretty big. If you look at what Xioalaohu has been able to accomplish, and NIP are scared. They backed off of that.
And that's also the Flash and Pop Blossom committed by Angel, so they no longer have what it takes to deny FPX if they do want to look for something like the Baron. But honestly, if I'm FPX, I would just wait for this Infernal Soul, which is going to be in 2 minutes. But now, stopwatches have been picked up by both carries, but 1-for-1 trade's still not the worst for FPX to take.
It's a very, very curious decision in terms of how NIP are trying to get back into this, because it doesn't feel like there's a lot of options, but you can appreciate some of the attempts that they're having to throw themselves at here. But in moments like this, it just becomes really difficult.
Yeah, and these team fights depend on Angel so desperately to get his hands onto the carries of LWX, and it all started very well with Zhuo burning the Featherstorm out of LWX and Angel flashing in and getting that Pop Blossom, securing the 1-for-1 trade, but Shadow on the Wukong instantly got focused down, because that kind of is just matchup when you play the Wukong into the Zai when she can't pull back her feathers, so you have to shut her down instantly before she can do that. But Shadow looking for a flank here.
A little bit dicey. Shadow might find it, though. They flash in on LWX. He goes golden, though, and that's really rough. The Pop Blossom comes in. Big combo with Infernum, and that's the wombo you needed, NIP. They finally put the pieces together.
They need to get out. I mean, Xioalaohu's looking.
That's a big engage from Xioalaohu, but he just gets immediately focused. That was still 4 people you're going into, and that's a bit of a meat grinder.
All right, look, Xioalaohu, you're not playing a 2023 champion. If you were a new champion, you would have gotten a pentakill there. But Jax is like from 2009? But how insane is it to think NIP, they come back into this game because LWX, he was mere seconds away from his Featherstorm, and NIP utilizes time framing perfectly.
Goodness gracious, as we're going to take a look at the amount of damage that went out by NIP. It's just being all on the same page.
Yeah, and Photic goes pretty much untouched this entire fight by the side of FPX, but LWX instantly got shut down as Invincible engaged the entire thing with that flash stun onto the AD carry. But let's just pretend this never happened. It could have gone either way. It could have gone either into a Jax pentakill or this. So with now NIP picking up the Baron, Photic, he's slowly working towards that third item, and FPX, they just threw their huge lead.
They did. We're tied up even NIP having an advantage now. In 2 minutes on the Baron, they are able to push in an Invincible. pop his Dominus as the the Glacial Prison, rather, does go out from Hacker. The Dragon's spawning up now, and this is sold for FPX. It look like they want to fight it.
There's no flashes whatsoever for NIP to work off though, so it's going to be incredibly hard getting to the backline of FPX, while Kara realistically can just play front to back and be peel for the Xia. She is just waiting for that cleanse time to come off.
Oh, they just go for the engage. The Tippers is popped. Angel's
They're
over on
rushing
the
Dragon.
side. But look at Zhuo. He's going down. The Dragon is taken by FPX. So the Phoenix will roar with the Infernal Soul, and NIP back away.
Not the worst result to come out for the side of FPX. They didn't have to trade anyone off. And like you said, securing that final Dragon stacking so incredibly well for this series in particular. And I think that is just through Hacker and how much priority he is playing towards LWX for these 2 games, while Shadow not finding the same success towards that top side, where it is the Renekton versus Jax matchup. And it is relatively skill, but Invincible has to be landing the stun through the counter-strike and timing it perfectly if NIP wanted to kind of commit to that. But Photic, I believe he just picked up his Lord Dom, so this guy is going to be putting out quite the punch. So depending on how these 2 teams engage onto the 80 carries, it could go either way.
I love the 3-item spikes coming along, because that just means we get more fireworks in these team fights. But Photic having that Lord Doms, that just feels like it unlocks this Aphelios against this composition. You already saw what that Wombo combo did there as well. You also have the Maul completed by Invincible, so a little bit of that tankiness
This
to
was
the
level
MR.
16, by the way. He's
He
incredibly ahead on
big
this
croc.
Renekton. Big Croc requires 4 people to rotate towards his bottom side. Hello? Well, Photic is just getting mid-push, but it doesn't matter too much. I mean, FPX is denying a lot of this Baron buff from being used by the side of NIP. They're struggling to get any towers from this initial Baron going towards them, while FPX successfully secure that Dragon Soul for themselves, of course. So, relatively slow, but exactly what FPX want.
Photic with the Lord Doms is like, I want to do something. LWX did complete the rapid fire. You also got 3rd item for Care as well. So you got to see what FPX can do to fight. They can stop from getting caught out here. Would help them in a lot of situations coming up. You have NIP who are just fishing, and that's exactly what they need to do.
Kind of ironic that we have fishing and we also have a Jax in this game too, but really see
Not the
Shadow,
Angler
he's
skin,
trying
not
to-
my Jax.
Not my Jax. Pax Jax is probably the coolest skin. Isn't that one of the rarest League of Legends skins that we have in League of Legends? Like Pax TF and Pax Jax?
I think in the Pax Sivir as well, with like the gaming controller or whatever, is pretty rare as well. Yeah, all those Pax skins are actually just so incredible. It's really cool. But we don't have that one here, sadly. Xioalaohu, got to think about your skins a little bit better next time. But we do have NIP who are kind of like what you mentioned earlier, just struggling to find a home on the map right now with no timers coming up, no big objectives. Feels like FPX have a lot of the priority here.
Yeah, and vision control is going to be key for either teams, and you see FPX walking in as a unit, just trying to secure any vision on this Baron, which is going to be the next major objective spawning onto the map. But they also need to consider the fact that Xioalaohu is drawing in constant pressure into the side where they have priority in this bottom lane. But in the end, Zhonya's getting picked up for both solo laners of FPX. They need to look for flank angles. But we saw NIP, they came back into this team, they came back into this game by getting their hands onto LWX, and they can do it again if LWX isn't too careful.
Angel on a ward will not be playing any sneaky games today. But again, I think the conversation still belies. Yes, FPX are knocked out, but yes, there's a little bit of saltiness in the fact that NIP were the ones to knock them out in that team pentakill. But especially because NIP are trying to gun for that 5th, 6th spot. If you get a 5th, 6th finish, you get to have that little bit of a bye for the first round. And the wins aren't that far apart in terms of team differential here going to the end. Now, NIP do need to finish their season against LNG. That is very difficult. But that's why this FPX series is even more important for them. And it's nice to see them actually have a little bit of fight back. That first game, it didn't feel like the NIP we've grown to love here. And it is something where NIP are actually rearing back to life.
Yeah, and NIP kind of just taking a breather because TT unfortunately lost up against LNG in that previous series that we heard early on in the day. So maybe they are just a little bit too relaxed, already securing that playoffs position, but they would still love to bump themselves up towards that 7th and 6th conversation. But we'll have to wait and see because they've been more reactive than proactive, and that's not going to get you too far when you are in the Fight for playoffs.
You gotta find a way to make it work, even in the last couple series of the split. A very gauntlet-like split we've had in the summer. But it is an IP rearing their head here, but a very strong FPX feeding off the momentum of this series so far, and honestly feeding off of an incredible series from Hacker and Care.
Yeah, we have seen the aggressiveness from Care die down just a little bit after the big throw in the mid lane, but we still have items getting picked up. The GA for LWX now, and that's where NIP, they start getting a headache because you have to pretty much kill this Xia 3 times through the Featherstorm, through the GA, and the Cleanse as well. So Angel's execution quite literally has to be perfect, and they need to have follow-up, not just Angel solo engaging. So it is going to be all eyes onto Invincible and Angel and how they're going to get their hands onto this AD carry. But even Care having the Rabadons as well, this Annie is going to hurt a lot.
There's a little bit of an item differential here, right? Shadow doesn't have the same as the Redemption got picked up by Hacker. You gotta watch out. TP's gonna come in from NIP. They actually don't want to burn it. It felt like maybe they could have burned in time. 4,000 had gone through. But FPX want to fight back now. Whoa, on the side, gotta be a little bit careful. Dominus is popped. There's the Pop Blossom. They turn immediately, but Photic is focused on the Baron right now, and that just means LWX gets to fire away. The mispositioning there, and FPX are just tearing him a new one. The flash from Xioalaohu, and NIP's indecisiveness ends up being their downfall.
NIP secure the Baron, but at what cost? The Elder Dragon is available. They're just gonna look for the end. They have a mid-wave towards this mid lane as well. It's only Angel, but I don't know if he can clear the wave.
What a catch out. What a turn from FPX. They have been decisive in this series, and that was a heck of a decisive fight. They are putting in the work right now in the base. This will be an in-hit taken out. They'll threaten the Nexus turrets. You still got the Baron buff coming through. A lot of CC, but I don't know if it's enough. Angel's going down. They're both going golden now with the GA and the Zanyas, but it's not going to be it. And FPX, they were salty. They were angry that they got team pentakilled by NIP. And in NIP's home arena, they'll take them out with a 2-0 victory in a Grand Slam performance.
Sweet revenge for the FPX roster up against NIP. The perfect way as a response to the team that eliminated you out of summer playoffs. But what a convincing 2-0 up against NIP. And from start to finish, it was always FPX's game to win. And just using that desperation that NIP